So when editing last week's video, Editing Sean found a setting in Adobe Premiere that should make the keying work better. Keying being the green screen and how it is removed from the video. That's what keying is. So just for comparison, here's what the keying looked like before. There's like some artifacting around the edges and it doesn't look as good. And here's what it looks like now. So hopefully this makes for a better looking green screen effect going forward. Speaking of going forward, roll the thing. Hey guys, Sean here. So about 6 years ago, I moved into an apartment by myself for the very first time, and there was one thing that I decided that I needed to do relatively shortly after I got a place by myself, and that was be prepared for an emergency or an earthquake, especially living in Southern California. So I went on Amazon and I got this. This is a earthquake emergency preparedness kit. I haven't opened it since I originally got it, so I should probably go through it and make sure that everything that is in it is still useful. So the first thing in the side pocket, there's a flashlight and 2 D batteries that say they are best before January of 2015. So there you go, right off the bat. That is probably not good, but I don't know that batteries, if you don't use them, actually go bad, but it's probably something I should invest in since batteries are cheap. Shockingly, they haven't exploded yet. Next up in here is general purpose utility rope. That would come in handy in an emergency. Of course, that can't go bad, so that's good. Next up is a radio that has AM, FM, weather band, and the alert band. And it is also powered by a crank, so that is very helpful. And then it also has a light on it. I believe you need to crank it for a while. Oh no, you just turn it to crank power. And yeah, there, it's got a light on it. I don't know that that really shows up very well in the camera. It also has battery power, which makes me think that there might be batteries in here, which would be bad. So let's go ahead and open this up really quickly. Oh, there are no batteries in it, so that's good. There is nothing in this world I am worse at than leaving batteries in things until they explode, so that's a good thing that I haven't let that happen with this. Oh, and here's the antenna for it on the side. And also there's a USB output on here too, so if you had this up and running, you would be able to charge your phone off of it too, so that's kind of handy. All right, next up, there's just a whole bunch of first aid stuff. So there's some respiratory masks, there's various emergency blankets, there's, oh, here's emergency drinking water in pouches, little pouches of water. And they were all manufactured in August of 2012, but I don't think these actually go bad, so that's, because it doesn't say anywhere on here that they can go bad, so that's good. And here we have another little first aid kit that has 53 pieces in it, and then also there's another smaller AM/FM radio as well. And of course everything is kept in bags too, in case, you know, there's a flood or something. Next there are some light sticks in here. There is a whistle with a compass on the end of it. And then there's a little, like, Leatherman-esque tool. Yeah, there's like a, it's not really a Swiss Army knife because it's not Swiss Army knife branded, but it is like essentially a Swiss Army knife. And then there's this little bottle that apparently has tablets in it that can purify water, so like in an emergency. So that's handy to have. I don't know that there's any sort of expiration on here, so we'll go ahead and throw it back in. There's also some work gloves in here. Work gloves are always important in an emergency. And then the most important thing that I was wondering about in here, and that is these food rations that are in here. They have a manufacturing date of October of 2012, and they have an expiration date of September of 2017. So maybe it is a good thing that I started looking at this, because this stuff is apparently about to expire. Although I have a feeling that with emergency rations, they probably will last a lot longer after the expiration date. It's just, you know, they have to put an expiration date on them just for safety reasons. But I'll probably just end up getting new emergency rations. And then the last thing in here is a little tube tent, like kind of a lean-to type thing that I was not very impressed with when I originally got this emergency kit. And so as a result of that, one time when I was at Target, I was like, hey, for 50 bucks, I could just get a 4-person tent. So I went ahead and did that. Now one thing I don't know if editing Sean will be able to fix is when kind of changing the lighting in the image, it darkens and lightens the lens because it's on automatic. So what happened recently that made me think I gotta go through my emergency kit and see if everything is expired or what have you. And what that was is that I saw something online and I'm like, that would be extremely helpful in an emergency should one ever come up. And that is this, the BioLite camp stove. So what makes this so special and potentially helpful in an emergency? Well, let's open it up and find out. So the first thing in this box are some fire starter sticks that will be helpful for starting a fire. This is secured in here with some twist ties, and I'm too lazy to go get the scissors over there, so luckily the emergency kit has this knife in it, so let's go ahead and use that. Alright, so as you can see, it's in this neat little pouch, and let's go ahead and take this out of here. And so it has these little feet on it, like so, and then you take this out and take the cardboard out of here. And let's see, by removing this tag and using the BioLite camp stove, you are acknowledging that you have read, understood, and accepted the included warnings and instructions. Well, yeah, okay. I will before I actually use it. So basically how this works is you put fuel in here of some kind, and it could just be sticks that you find out in the wilderness. And then if you want, there's this little triangle adapter that you put on here for pots. So you can put pots on top of here. And you know, it works as a stove as well as, like, you know, a heat source. But here's the thing that I thought was most ingenious about this and why I thought it would be very helpful in an emergency situation. So in the middle here, there's this little copper pipe that's going into where the fire would be coming up, and this copper pipe, it will take the heat from the fire and it will transfer it into this little yellow thing here, and then this yellow thing will transform the heat into battery power, which can then be used to charge any device that you can plug into a USB. So you could charge your cell phone using just fire. And I thought that was such a brilliant and helpful in an emergency idea. So that being said, let's go test it out somewhere. So I ended up going into the garage of my apartment building, and don't worry, I did have water with me, so if anything got out of hand, I was able to quickly extinguish the fire, but nothing got out of hand. Now I, of course, being male, didn't actually read the directions before doing this, and I wish I had. So what's happening here is the fire is going, I press the button, and it starts this fan that actually adds more oxygen to the fire, as you can see. And it makes like kind of a neat little fire tornado within it. Fire eventually went out, so I went ahead and I pressed the button again to see what exactly happens if you do that. And what happens is it kicks it up into high mode, which makes the fan go much faster. So I could never actually get it to charge a device, and I later found out that is because of two reasons. One, you need to prime the battery beforehand by charging it, by plugging it into a USB outlet or something, and then after that, like, you never need to do that again as long as you light the fire every 6 months or so. And another thing I learned by watching an instruction video is you're not supposed to pour water directly into it, which I ended up doing once I was all done. Luckily, it doesn't look like anything bad happened, but I know for the future not to do that. You're supposed to dump the ashes out on the ground and then pour water on top of them. So someday I'm going to have to try this again. I just sort of ran out of time and didn't give it the proper attention that it needed. I'm sure that it works great, you just need to do everything correctly beforehand. So down the line, when I properly use it, I will get back to you and give a full report on it and letting you know how I ended up actually liking it. The actual camp stove portion of it that I did try there, I thought was really great, especially with the fan that made the fire more intense because of the oxygen being pulled into it. I thought that was really amazing. And the thought of being able to actually charge my phone if I use it properly is just even better. But that's going to do it for me this week. If you liked this video, go ahead and hit the like button down below, and while you're down there, if you want to see more of the crazy crap that goes on around here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like to support the crazy crap that goes on around here, go ahead and hit up my Patreon. And with that, have a good however long it is until you watch my next video.